I was homeless, living on the streets, and felt like I had nothing to lose. But today I stand here not just to tell my story, but to share with you the journey of change that helped me overcome it all. From a person with nothing to a person who found purpose and inner freedom. If you are also looking to change your life, find your inner strength, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Each week I will share more lessons, stories, and practical methods for you to live according to the Stoic philosophy, helping you overcome challenges and achieve your life goals. Come with me on this journey. I was born into a world of chaos and loss. The kind of place where love was a language few spoke and fear filled the spaces in between. As a child I often asked, why me? Why was I given this life, while others lived surrounded by warmth and certainty? For a long time I believed I was trapped, that my beginning had written the ending for me. But then I discovered a truth that shattered every chain around my spirit. A truth whispered by the Stoics, carried through centuries. We cannot choose where we come from, but we can always choose how we respond. Epictetus. That lesson changed everything. I realized I wasn't powerless. I wasn't broken beyond repair. I was a blank canvas, still holding the brush in my own hand. Chaos may have been my birthplace, but it would never be my destiny. I chose strength. I chose to rise. And every day I continue to choose, regardless of where I began. I wasn't raised in comfort. I was raised by the firm hands of my grandparents, hands that believed discipline was a greater gift than ease. Every morning had a rule. Every mistake had a consequence. As a child I thought discipline was a cage. I resented the early hours, the sharp words, the high expectations. Why couldn't life be softer? I used to wonder, why did everything have to be earned? But years later I see it differently. I see what they were trying to build inside me. Not just obedience, but strength. Not just order, but freedom. The Stoics knew this truth long before I did. External discipline is only the beginning. True freedom comes from inner discipline. Seneca. Today I thank them. For the mornings they made me rise before the sun. For the moments they refused to rescue me from my own mistakes. Because of them I learned the rarest kind of freedom. The freedom that no one can ever take away. I lost my way before I even knew who I was. At an age when most kids dreamed of the future, I was already trying to escape the present. Drugs promised an easy way out, a shortcut to numb the pain, to silence the noise inside my head. For a while I believed the lie. I thought I could outrun the darkness by diving deeper into it. But every high came with a price. And one day I woke up to find I had become a stranger to myself. It would have been easy to blame the world. Easy to say it was the chaos, the loneliness, the hurt that led me here. But deep down I knew the truth, the one the Stoics had taught long ago. No one can lead you astray but yourself. Guard your mind as you would guard a fortress. Marcus Aurelius. That day I made a different choice. I stopped running. I started rebuilding. And I learned that true strength is protecting your soul from yourself. I remember the night I lost everything. One suitcase. One broken heart. No home to return to. At first, the streets felt like a punishment, a brutal reminder that I had failed. Every cold night, every hungry morning, seemed to scream the same thing. You are nothing. You have nothing. It would have been easy to believe it, to let the weight of it all crush me. But somewhere in that silence I heard another voice, a quieter one but stronger. The voice of truth. The voice the Stoics knew well. Losing possessions does not make you poor. Losing your inner strength does. Epictetus. I realized I wasn't broken. I was being stripped of everything that didn't matter, so I could finally find what did. Home was never four walls. Wealth was never in my pockets. It was always inside me. In my courage. In my resilience. In the unshakable spirit that no one and nothing could take away. Survival has a way of twisting your mind. When you're desperate, the lines between right and wrong start to blur. I told myself the lies I needed to hear. I have no choice. It's survival. Anyone would do the same. And so I crossed lines I once swore I never would. I stole. I lied. I became someone I didn't recognize, all in the name of staying alive. But the truth? It was never survival that made me lose myself. It was my choices. Choices I made, one after another, believing that dignity was a luxury I couldn't afford. I later learned what the Stoics had known for centuries. No circumstance can force you to lose your dignity. Every choice is still your own. Seneca. That truth was heavy. It hurt to face it, but it also set me free. Because if I had the power to fall, I had the power to rise. To choose differently. To reclaim the honor I thought I had lost, one choice at a time. I saw what others turned a blind eye to. The kind of injustice that makes your skin crawl but your heart ache even more. In that moment I had a choice. To look away like everyone else. Or to stand up and say this is wrong. It wasn't easy. It wasn't safe. But I couldn't live with myself if I stayed silent. The crowd, the voices, the pressure to conform, they all shouted the same thing. Let it go. It's not your fight. But I knew the truth in my heart. Doing nothing was just as bad as being a part of the crime. The Stoics understood this long ago. It is not the majority that decides what is right or wrong. It is the integrity of your own soul that makes that call. Marcus Aurelius. So I stood tall. I chose to act even when it felt like I was the only one. Because I knew the only thing that could silence the wrong was my own voice. I was broken physically and mentally. The injury left me shattered in pain I couldn't escape. But it wasn't just the wounds on my body that left scars. It was the feeling of being trapped in my own life. There seemed to be no way out. No way to breathe without the weight of everything crashing down on me. Then I saw it, an unexpected door. A chance to walk into the very prison I thought I'd never enter. A place that, oddly enough, felt like freedom. Inside those walls, no one could touch me. Inside, I could finally confront what I'd been running from. I later understood the lesson the Stoics had always known. Sometimes, external failure is the beginning of an inner victory. Seneca. The pain didn't disappear, but it became my teacher. And behind those bars I found strength I never knew I had. I realized that freedom wasn't about escaping the world, it was about conquering myself. In the stillness of long, lonely nights, I faced the hardest truth of all, myself. The silence echoed louder than any noise. Every doubt, every regret, every mistake stood before me, staring me down, demanding attention. At first I tried to escape it. I filled the emptiness with distractions, with anything that could drown out the noise. But no matter how far I ran, the truth always followed. One night something changed. I stopped running. I sat with the pain, the fears, the broken parts of me. For the first time I didn't turn away. I looked them all in the eyes and accepted them. No excuses. No more pretending. The Stoics had known this all along. True freedom begins when you dare to face yourself, without excuses, without escape. Epictetus. And in that moment I understood. I wasn't defined by my past, my failures, or my fears. I was free because I chose to confront the only thing that could ever hold me back. Me. There was a time when I waited. I waited for someone to show me the way. I waited for answers to fall into my lap. But no one came. No one offered the key to unlock the doors I needed to open. And I realized, I was the one I had been waiting for. So I began. I started with nothing but a hunger for knowledge and a belief that change was possible. I read, I studied, I practiced. And little by little, my mind began to shift, to grow, to expand in ways I never imagined. The Stoics had already said it. Don't wait for anyone to save you. Knowledge and virtue are the wings you must forge for yourself. Marcus Aurelius. It wasn't easy and it wasn't fast. But every step was mine to take. Every ounce of wisdom was a piece of freedom I had earned. And in the end, I realized the greatest gift was never given. It was earned through effort and self-discipline. Years passed and the distance between us grew. The words we never spoke, the things left unsaid, turned into walls too high to climb. I thought I had moved on, convinced myself that the pain was a part of my past, not my present. But one day a call came. A voice I hadn't heard in years. It was them. And everything inside me tensed, ready to close off again. I could have held on to the anger, the bitterness, the feeling of betrayal. But then I remembered a truth that had always been there, waiting for me to understand. Forgiveness is not just a gift for others. It is the liberation of your own soul. Seneca. In that moment, I realized that letting go wasn't weakness. It was freedom. So I opened my heart again, not for them, but for me. For peace. For healing. And in that forgiveness, I found the strength to rebuild what was broken, with love that had been waiting to bloom once more. There was a time when I couldn't see my own worth. I doubted every step I took, every decision I made. I was lost, unsure of myself, and carried a fear that paralyzed me from moving forward. Then, unexpectedly, someone believed in me. Someone saw potential in me when I saw only flaws. Their trust wasn't just a compliment, it was a challenge, a responsibility they placed in my hands. At first, I didn't understand. Why would they trust me when I didn't trust myself? But slowly, their belief began to spark something in me. It lit a fire that I had buried long ago. The Stoics knew this truth all too well. Treat the trust others place in you as a sacred duty, one you must not betray. Marcus Aurelius. And so I carried their belief not as a burden but as a reminder. I owed it to them and to myself to rise. To become the person they saw in me even when I couldn't see it myself. I walked into that classroom not knowing if I belonged. The walls seemed taller, the faces colder, and the weight of doubt heavier than ever. But I knew one thing, I had no choice but to fight for a future I couldn't yet see. Every day was a battle. Not just with the lessons but with the voice inside me that said I wasn't good enough. That I didn't deserve to be there. But with every failure I grew stronger. With every setback I learned. And slowly I began to realize something the Stoics had always known. All external glory is hollow without the victory over yourself. Epictetus. The real challenge wasn't the tests or the assignments. It was the inner fight, the fight to believe in myself, to trust that I could rise above the doubts. I fought to reclaim my future, and in the end, it wasn't the degree that mattered most. It was the strength I found within myself to never give up. I spent years running from my past. The pain, the mistakes, the things I wished I could erase. I thought if I could leave it all behind I could start fresh. But no matter where I went, it followed me, always there like a shadow. One day I stopped running. I turned around and faced it. I embraced every part of my journey, even the parts that hurt the most. In that moment I realized my past wasn't a burden, it was the very thing that could light the way for others. The Stoics understood this well. No one is lost forever. Each of us can turn our suffering into light for others. Seneca. I became the guide I once needed. I took everything I had learned from the darkness and used it to help others find their way. Because if I could rise from my pain, so could they. And together we would walk toward the light.